I know there's probably a million of these on YouTube and the internet in general, but I figured in an effort to get to know me that I would take you on a tour of my workspace and of my bookshelves, because we are all about literature here, and my bookshelves are absolutely exploding with books that I have read and that I haven't read. So, to take you on this tour, I will start by showing you where I work, which is this chair specifically. And this is the desk that I work at. It is not a desk, it is a side table. This is my microphone that you see in all of my videos. It is also technically not mine. My husband actually bought me a new microphone, and I said I didn't like it because it wasn't as nice as his, and I asked if I could keep his still. And it came with this super fancy soundboard that I still don't really know how to use, but I get by. And this is my laptop, and these are all my stickers on my laptop. It is old, but it does the job. I have both of my ring lights here, this one, and then this is the bed that you see in the background, and my light that I did not turn on, that I think is supposed to be a thought bubble, but when I bought it because it looks like something very different. And I will let you all use your imagination into what that looks like. That is definitely not a thought bubble. This is the side table that I rarely get to show in my videos. I have a little lamp here that has a candle that I've used. There's my fake flowers that are beautiful. A little teapot. I do want to do a make you tea ASMR at some point. You can look forward to that. The lights turn on in this, and I put some potpourri in there. It smells like flowers. It's pretty nice. I have some books here. My Tyler Knott Gregson, Beth Ann Fennelly, who I will touch on at some point. She has really good poetry. This is a book of her memoirs, micro memoirs. Great for light reading if you're not good at reading long form. And then my second quote book here, which will probably take me the rest of my life. And then we come to my second ring light and my tripod. That, of course, is the Amazon Basics one. And we get to my bookshelves, which, as you can see, are just absolutely exploding with books because I just do not have enough space. I clearly need more bookshelves, but I don't have any more bookshelves, and I don't have any more space for bookshelves. Taking you through my first shelf, I have my Anne of Green Gables pop-up books that I've had since I was a kid. I really want to read these ones to you at some point, since Anne of Green Gables is a free from copyright story. I really loved them as a kid, and of course, pop-up books. Who doesn't love those? And then these ones, which I don't think I can read to you because even though Reader's Digest kind of doesn't exist since this year, I think, they would still be under copyright because they're from 1989. But this Mouse's Magic Paints, I kid you not, I have read, I read so much as a kid. It was one of my favorite books. My Nancy Drew books, which as a kid I wanted to own literally every Nancy Drew book, the original yellow back ones. I read every Nancy Drew book in every library in the two cities near me. I had a library for both, or I had a library card for both. So I only have 1 to 15 and then 21 to 30 and randomly 36 because I think my friend gave it to me as a kid. It was an extra copy that she had. And then I have some smaller ones here of more recent ones from when she's older. Some Pokemon books, my Winnie the Pooh book. And then coming up here, I have Alice in Wonderland, Mansfield Park, because of course I have Jane Austen. Some Anne Rice books, Beowulf, which I have because I had to read it for school. King Arthur, The Madman, Khalil Gibran, who I will cover in a future video. I do have The Martian. I'm pretty sure I read The Martian. Devil Wears Prada. These journals were a gift, and I feel bad because I never did them, but there's Wreck This Journal, which is literally a journal with the purpose of like wrecking it. Chew on this. Don't swallow though. Tear out and crumple. Pick up the journal without using your hands. A place for your grocery list. Write carelessly. That would be fun to write with your like left hand or something. And then finish this book. It has a bunch of like writing prompts and things to help you write. And just like fun activities. You know, let's make writing fun. You'll notice a trend. I have a lot of things on here that I've started and have not finished. These poetry books that are near and dear to me, they are my great-grandmother's. She self-published her poetry. Good for her back in the day. The Bhagavad Gita, which I think I also have a Book of Mormon and several Bibles because books are books and stories are stories. Plants That Kill, that's a new edition. Oh yes, here's the Beth Ann Fennelly. This is her poetry book in case you're interested and looking for a new one. Howl's Moving Castle is new. This one, which is so tiny and cute, The Dictionary of Obscure Sorrows. I used to follow him on Tumblr way back in the day, like, I don't know, 2013. I think around 2013 is when I started following. Just a very cool book of essentially made up words. Pillow Thoughts. This is also, it's like poetry meets micro memoir. There's some like freestyle poetry, some like traditional style poetry, some like little mini like memoir stories. As you can tell, I've bookmarked just a few that I like. Memoirs of a Geisha, Charles Dickens, Alice Munro, because of course no bookshelf is complete without Alice Munro. Moving on to the next shelf, we have Scorched by Jennifer L. Armentrout, who I really love. Like, it's not that I don't love her anymore. A lot of the YA authors that I followed back in the day, I just don't have time to follow them now, and I don't read a lot of like young adult books or new adult books anymore. But man, did I eat up her books when I was younger. Some manga. Dean Koontz. The Princess Bride, again, kind of like, you know, Alice Munro, Charles Dickens, Jane Austen. Like, a bookshelf is not complete without The Princess Bride. More Anne Rice, Dune. I'm pretty sure that's not mine. That's probably my husband's. This book, The Hero Within. If you are interested in writing or looking into writing, I highly recommend this book. This was actually recommended to me by the editor who's been helping me with my own book. It goes over the like 6 archetypes. The warrior, orphan, innocent. So if you're looking to learn more about base characters in fiction, even not necessarily just fiction, but I would say predominantly fiction, definitely this is a great start because it goes really into detail about the archetypes of like characters. And once you have the base and archetype of the character, obviously it's much easier to expand and turn them into a real person. This is my manga shelf. It's mixed now. This is an amalgamation of my manga and my husband's manga, but as you can see, I have my Sailor Moon manga here. There's some English ones, but a lot of mine are in Japanese because back in the day, I say that a lot, but I'm just an old hag now. Back in my early 20s, when I worked downtown, there was a Japanese used manga store. It was like a used bookstore, but it was predominantly manga. And you could go and you could buy manga for like $3. The only catch was that it was all in Japanese. And, you know, I don't know if this is a trend among other ADHDers, but I have this wild, crazy thing that I do where I start learning a language and then get partway through and then I just skip to a new language. Jack of all trades, master of none. That's what I am. So I can read Japanese for the most part. I don't understand everything I'm reading. What else do we have? Fruits basket. This is incomplete. My Sailor Moon is also incomplete. I think most of these are incomplete, especially when you're going to like used bookstores. They don't always have the whole complete series there. You just get what you can. I do have 1 to 8 though. I think there's 20 volumes though, so you know I'm missing a lot. Moving on to my top bookshelf, we have my Luna P. This goes with these down here. My friend in grade 8, I believe, in like woodworking class, she made these. Of course, Sailor Moon themed. You'll notice another trend there. I have her up here with Luna P so that they don't get lonely. This is my Cassie Claire. Obviously, you can tell I was a really big fan of her, and I believe all of these ones are signed. Are they? Yes, they sure are. I think I had her sign the entire prequel. I think it was for the release of one of the prequel books, probably the last one. So, and you were allowed to request her to, I think, sign up to 3. So I just had her sign the whole trilogy. My Sonic Screwdriver, of course. Haven't read this one. This series was so cool. Pivot Point and Split Second. It is about a girl who can see into the future. She can go down like 2 paths essentially. And the book in this one, it follows her at a crossroads and she goes down both paths that she can go, and like neither of them end well, I think. I can't remember exactly, but to avoid spoilers, that is her like ability, and it was a wild ride. This is Cassie West, by the way, in case you're wondering, since you probably can't read that tiny writing. Anna Dressed in Blood by Kinder Blake, also like so cool. Very interesting concept. The 2 Sarah J. Maas books that I own, even though her series are like 7 to 8 books, they just got wildly expensive after this one, and I never got around to buying them because it just got unaffordable. This series by Mark Lawrence, Prince of Thorns, this is a really good series. I have all 3 books up here. I didn't get very far in, but the main character is kind of like an anti-hero, so very interesting like to read from that perspective. Also like very like wildly different from all of the young adult books that I read. This is not young adult. It is also very like trigger warning, like violent and not for kids. Definitely do recommend that series though if you're looking for a series to read and you're into that more like fantasy. Got this at a garage sale. My daughter really loves My Little Pony. I never got into My Little Pony, so I don't know who this is, but she could definitely tell you. What's next? Agatha Christie. I actually have a surprisingly large amount of books. I, at one point, just started collecting Agatha Christie books. Like, if I saw it in a used bookstore and I didn't have it, I would buy it because the original queen of murder mystery, let's be real. I have a little tiny Adventures of Sherlock Holmes. Adulthood is a Myth by Sarah Scribbles. Love her. That's just relatable content right there. This series, The Archived and The Unbound, I bought because the concept at the time was really interesting. I believe it takes place in either like a library or something like that. And I like, it's been so long they've been sitting here unread that I don't even remember what it was, but I remember buying them because it just, the concept again, just sounded so interesting. Another Jennifer L. Armentrout book. For some reason, like, I really fell in love with her fantasy novels, but the only ones that I own are her lit fic. Lit fic isn't actually something that I read a lot. I try to read it, but I tend to lean more towards, as you can see from all of these, very like sci-fi and fantasy. Christopher Pike, Thirst. I got the like compounded books. It's actually like 6 books, but they, I think, compiled them into like 2 compendium novels. So there's like the first 3 books in this one and 4th, 5th, and 6th book in this one. I have not read past the first book. We're gonna notice that trend here. But this was one of my friend's like favorite series as a kid. So obviously I had to buy it and read it. And then I got through the first book, and as things go when you have ADHD, you're like, I'm gonna move on to the next series. Angels and Demons and the Da Vinci Code. I own them. I have never read them. I did watch the movies. I don't think they're very close to the books. I don't know. More nerd content. These are Sailor Moon cards. I obviously am a very large fan of Sailor Moon, and I have been since a child. Laini Taylor's Daughter of Smoke and Bone, Dreams of God and Monsters, and Days of Blood and Starlight. It has been so long. I purchased these when they first came out, obviously because they're all hardcovers, with the full intention of reading it because they came so highly recommended by other people in the sphere at the time, and I have never opened them. No, I've never opened them. I will one day, I'm sure. Aragon series, I do own those. Also have never read those. The Nightmare Affair by Mindy Arnett. This was also a very cool concept. It takes place at a school. I remember the plot twist at the end kind of throwing me for a loop, but at the time in my younger years, I was never able to see plot twists. I don't know. It would always frustrate the hell out of me because my husband would literally from the beginning be like, this is what's like, would know, be like, this is what's going to happen. And I'd be like, how do you know that? I think I've gotten better over the years, but maybe that's just because I've become a better writer. And so now I'm like, if I was the writer, I would do this. The Book of Clow, more nerd content, more nerd stuff. This, unfortunately, is not mine. Well, I guess it's half mine because I'm married now, but this comes courtesy of my husband. Indelible and Invisible by Dawn Metcalf. I bought these. There's more than 2 books in this series. I feel like this series got I say out of hand. Any book series more than 3 books to me then becomes like very overwhelming for me to read. It's a big commitment. Again, with the ADHD. I don't remember what was so weird. It took me a long time to get into this book because as I was reading, it was just written in a very specific way, and I was like, I'm not used to this. But once I got into it, I was like really into it. So into it that I never got to the second book. Oh, Sweet Venom, Sweet Shadow, Sweet Legacy by Tara Lynn Childs. This is a story. It's a retelling of Medusa and her sisters. So good. Obviously young adult, but like still so good when I read it. It would really be interesting to go back and read some of these now as an adult to see if I still felt the same way. Mask of the Red Death and Dance of the Red Death. These books, I feel like I'm saying this a lot. Such an interesting concept. I would clearly was pulled to books that were more interesting concepts. Were things that I normally wouldn't read or just found intriguing. But this is basically, it's kind of like fantasy meets dystopian, where like a plague has just like ravished the earth or like the world. And it's these people who are trying to survive just in this world. It's like if the Black Death had not actually stopped and we were still living with the fear of catching the Black Death. But when you talk about opening sentences in novels, like opening paragraphs, yes, but specifically like that very first sentence, this book has it. It has the stuff. I'm going to read it, just the first sentence. Hopefully this falls under fair use. I'm not going to read more than the first sentence, but I just want you to get an idea. Okay. The charcoal sky spits cold rain as we rumble to a stop at a crossroad. Just the imagery, the charcoal sky. It's not just written, but it spits cold rain. It just has all of the things. It has the imagery. It is very like action based. It personifies the rain and the sky. And it has the word rumble is almost like an onomatopoeia. Like when you read the word rumble, you can like feel the rumbling in your body. Do you know what I mean? So you get a sense of what the road is like. And it also kind of immediately gains your interest, your like curiosity. Why are they at a crossroad? Why are they stopping? You know. So yes, very good. I feel like these also had pretty good plot twists. But again, as a teen and a young adult, I was very not good at that. So this, I fell in love with this book, Between the Devil and the Deep Blue Sea. So much so that I bought the second one. And guess what? I never read it. But this one was kind of like paranormal meets. I think it's a paranormal fiction. This like weird guy comes to a town. He's very like alluring. It's cool. It was good. Liba Bray. Oh my god. A Great and Terrible Beauty. I read these books a very long time ago. But when they did come out, I was absolutely obsessed. The first two books were already obviously softcover. I could not wait a year for the third book to become a softcover to keep it the same. So it bothers me that I have two softcovers and a hardcover, but it's the constant pull. The need for the autism to have everything the same and the need from the ADHD to have everything immediately right now. This series was so good though. Like so good. It takes place in the past and it's about a girl who goes to school where they practice magic or they learn magic. Like there's a whole bunch of stuff to do with like magic, magical abilities. And just the twist was so well executed. It was so good. I really recommend this series. It's very good. I don't know if anybody remembers this book. It came out in the 90s. Into the Land of the Unicorns by Bruce Coville. The Unicorn Chronicles. This is obviously book one. I still remember buying this book. I believe I was in grade 3 or 4. This was back when Scholastic actually came physically to your elementary school and they set up in that room where that multi-purpose room that you never really got used for anything except maybe like the school dances. And I asked my mom to buy me this book. And I have the first two. I would love to own the third and fourth at some point because the series is so good. I actually did complete this whole I read all of the books. I just only own the first two. The last book I think it took him 10 years to write because he ended up going through this intense writer's block, which I feel like is so real. I don't know anybody out there, if you've written a book series, when you get to the last book, there's this, sometimes just this wall where you're like, okay, I need to first finish the story. I need to say goodbye to these characters at the end. And I also need to somehow pull everything that I've been building up and deliver it in a way that my readers are going to enjoy and like. That's a lot of pressure. But it was a good ending. It was a very good ending. So it took 10 years, but it was worth the wait. It was worth the wait. Pantomime and Shadow Play. These books were really cool. It is about a girl. She was born intersex and her mom basically forced her to grow up as a girl even though she always felt like a boy. And so she runs away and joins the circus. So good. Laura Lamb did so much research into the character, interviewed so many people to really get into the head of her main character, and it really shows. Shadow Play is the second book. It's just a 2-book series. I read Pantomime. I started Shadow Play. I never finished it. Getting Over Gara Delaney is one of those really cute books you pick up just when you're going on vacation in the summer and you just want something light and fluffy and fun to read. Such an easy read. So cute. I love the main character. Splinter and Unhinged and Ensnared. This, I believe, is an Alice in Wonderland retelling. I bought it. The covers, oh my god, the covers look so beautiful. I probably bought the series just for the covers. Just the artwork, just amazing. Have never read them. The Ghost and the Goth, I bought the first book thinking I could buy the whole series, but then I don't know why, but the second book, if it like went out of print or something, you just couldn't find it anywhere. And if it was on Amazon or somewhere, it was listed for $50. And I can't afford that for a novel. Like, who can afford that for a novel? Rich people who probably aren't reading books like this. The like Shatter Me, Ignite Me, and Unravel Me by Tarara Mathy. My mom read this series. I still have not. And then, of course, Leigh Bardugo's Shadow and Bone, Siege and Storm, and Ruin and Rising, which I feel like most people should know because Shadow and Bone got turned into a series by Netflix. I finished the first novel, started the second novel, never finished the series. Somebody out there, ADHD, in the comments, please tell me, like, can you relate? One of the reasons, though, why I do have so many books on here that I have not read, why I have collected so many, like, books and book series over the years, is because as a child, what I really wanted was a library of books where I could walk to the bookshelf, pick up a book or series that I had never read. And I have clearly achieved that. Because I have so many series on here that I've never read. I do wonder if I will ever get to reading them all, but at the very least, I have a large compendium of books for my daughter to read when she gets older. Of young adults, of comic books, of adult books, of kids' books. This is the last shelf I have. Some of these books are not mine. Most of them are. This one is a very cute, obviously, again, so many bookmark pages. It is a picture book of literally just like daily things or like just everyday things that you would do as a couple, basically. If I go to one of these bookmark ones, like this one, and it just like in the street, just a bite, right? Or like shopping together, and it's literally just shopping what to buy. Very, very cute. It is all in Korean. I can read Korean. I don't always understand what it says. Kind of like the Japanese. What else do we have? Seeds of Time. She's actually a local author. She came to my school, Casey Dyer, in, what was it? Oh, she signed this book too for me. She came to my school and talked about her book. And I'm pretty sure this is part of a series, but at the time she was talking about the first book in her series. So that's it, and I've just never added. I have all of the Percy Jackson books now, thanks to my uncle, who was just looking to get rid of them. And I was like, hey, don't get rid of them. Give them to me. I collect books. I do have all of the Inkheart, Ink Death, and Inkspell. I read the first one. I wasn't a fan. And I don't know, honestly, if it's just partly because I believe these ones were translated from German. And I don't know if it's just one of those things that happens in translated novels where the writing becomes kind of a bit more clunky. But even the villain in this book, I just really was very one-dimensional. He was just evil. He was just evil and you need to get rid of him. There was nothing. He was like a caricature, essentially, of a villain. And I don't know if that was the point. Maybe if I read it now, I would get more out of it. It would be nice to like read through the series at some point with my daughter because she would probably like them. We're just going to skip over the Harry Potter books because we don't care about J.K. Rowling anymore. This book series, The Alchemist, The Secrets of the Immortal Nicholas Flamel by Michael Scott. Oh my god, I ate these books up. I have the first two. I borrowed most of the rest from the library, but it's a really long series. I think it's 7 books long, and I believe I got to book 5, which is impressive for me if you have been with me so far and I have gotten to book 2 and that was it. I was invested in that series, man. I think it is more middle school fiction and less young adult, but still very good, very engaging, even for me as a teenager. And of course, The Lord of the Rings. No literature lovers compendium of books is complete without the Lord of the Rings trilogy and of course The Hobbit. There's really nothing to be said about those books. And then this is my other Korean book, The Adventures of Edward Tulane. I had really high hopes that I would learn Korean fully so I could read it, and if you've been with me on this journey so far, I'm sure you can already infer how that ended. And that brings me to the end of my bookshelf. I have, several Jane Austen books here. More Bibles. Like, not all of these Bibles I bought. Some were just gifted to me. Like, I have a French Bible back there. And then I have a Korean English Bible, New Testament here. I don't know if you know this, but people often say that one of the easiest ways to learn a language is to read the Bible. I don't know who invented that, but now I have a lot of Bibles. Alice in Wonderland, the illustrated version, because of course my daughter wanted to read it and wanted to get her a version with pictures because she is still young. The Scarlet Letter, my Edgar Allan Poe up here. And yeah, that is it. That is the tour. This is where I live and work. I feel like I live in here a lot these days. I hope you enjoyed my tour, and at some point I would love to go over my own writing with you guys. Maybe like read some stuff. There is one little like scene. Really want to read you guys that. It's honestly some of the best romance I've ever written, and it's just fucking hilarious. Which I hope you will think too. But yeah, next video maybe I will talk to you about my writing process and how that works, character creation and things like that. If you have read any of these books, if you would like me to talk more about any of these books, or if you have anything that you would like to add, if you have your own book collection at home like me, sound off in the comments. Let me know what you think. If this sort of unhinged, unscripted ADHD content is what you're looking for, like this video and subscribe, and I will see you guys all in the next one. Bye! Thank you to everyone on my Patreon. Your support means so much to me, and I couldn't do this without you.